Firecast, a podcast from MDM Publishing, brought to you in association with Asia Pacific Fire magazine, focusing on disaster management, fire protection and the fire service.
Welcome to this latest Firecast, where today we're again looking forward to AFAC25, powered by INTERSCHUTZ, returning to the Perth Convention and Exhibition Centre for the first time since 2018. AFAC25, powered by INTERSCHUTZ, will be held from the 26th to the 29th of August and will explore the theme from local to global, leveraging systems, capability and connection. The programme will feature a wide variety of content, including exhibition, inspiring keynotes and invited speakers. AFAC25 will explore the dynamic intersection between society, systems and technology, and how we can capitalise on local and global connections to build a safer future together. It's proudly hosted by the Department of Fire and Emergency Services and the Department of Biodiversity, Conservation and Attractions in WA. Now, if you haven't already listened to it, have a listen to AFAC President Commissioner Darren Clem, AFSM, from Department of Fire and Emergency Services, who was on the last Firecast that we did about AFAC25. Today, we have a great panel of guests to share their knowledge of and excitement for the event. They are Jason Foster, who's chair of the AFAC25 Steering Committee and Executive Director of Regional and Fire Management Services, Department of Biodiversity, Conservation and Attractions, WA. Quinn Cramer, who's President of Women and Firefighting Australasia, and Rob Keane, Hannover Fairs Australia Event Director. So, the AFAC25 programme has been released and it's got a really impressive lineup of speakers and presentations. So I'll come to you first, Jason. Jason, who are the keynote speakers at this year's event and what are you most looking forward to in the programme?
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for having us as part of the show. As part of this year's AFAC25 program in Perth, we're really lucky to have 5 outstanding speakers as part of the program. One of those, Ingrid Cumming, a local Fremantle woman. Ingrid is an honorary fellow at the Murdoch University, and Ingrid's also a proud Whadjuk Balardong Noongar woman. She's a young and inspiring leader who will be presenting her research and motivation for the work. Ingrid's a really engaging speaker, and she's sure to put on a great session and thought-provoking session. We also have Mami Mizutori, and Mami is a former special representative of the United Nations Secretary-General for Disaster Risk Reduction and also head of the UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction. Mami is a respected figure in global resilience space, and part of her presentation will be focusing and exploring what more we can do as a collective to secure a safer and resilient future. In addition to that, we've got Professor Gavin Smith, who is from North Carolina State University. Professor Smith will focus on community-led relocation after disasters, something that is increasingly discussed across our sector, but is often misunderstood. We've also got Dr. Adriana Keating, and Adriana is a research fellow with the Monash Sustainable Development Institute. And Adriana's panel will be leading a discussion about imagining a future where research, emergency services, big tech organisations and communities can come together. Finally, our 5th speaker will be Leigh Sales. As many will know, Leigh is a prominent Australian journalist and author who is very well known for her work with the ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Leigh will be exploring stories of resilience captured in her book, Any Ordinary Day. Leigh's presentation will look at blindsides, resilience, and what happened after the worst day of your life. So really great speakers, and we're really proud to be welcoming those 5 speakers to Perth and importantly to the AFAC conference.
To be looking at that, actually, Jason, I think to myself that you've got your reason for going to Perth just for those speakers. But actually, there are looking at the programme, there are so many different topics that are going to be discussed at the event. But one of the things that's leapt out to me, one of the key themes of the event, is using planned fire in the landscape. Now, I guess as land managers for Australia's largest state, it's important to have planned fire featured on this year's conference agenda.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. We're really pleased to have planned fire or prescribed burning as one of the key themes and topics as part of the program. From a West Australian perspective, but also a global perspective, we believe that prescribed burning is a vital science-backed land management tool to reduce the intensity and spread of bushfires, and most importantly, to protect lives, property, and the environment. In Western Australia, prescribed burning is the state's principal risk management strategy, which again, we're very lucky for that program and that land management technique to be informed by more than 60 years of fire research and operational experience. Our fire suppression and prescribed burning are both critical tools, but suppression alone is not the only viable strategy. And that's something that we hope comes out as part of the discussions and themes across the program. From our perspective, we believe that we must continue investing in risk reduction, and we look forward to the dialogue that the program hopefully provokes during the time. We're using science and technology and our operational evidence to ensure that prescribed burning remains effective, ecologically appropriate, and supported by the community. And we're doing that through adaptive management, something else that will be explored through the themes of the conference, particularly in the face of a drying climate, which is not restricted to one jurisdiction. And we know that climate change and a changing climate are having impacts at a global setting and are front and centre in respect to emergency management and how we respond to managing bushfire risks in the future. In addition to that, the social and natural environments that we're operating in are changing. And that means that there is a healthy debate about land management practices, and in particular prescribed burning and bushfire mitigation. And that's something as well that I look forward to, hopefully the conference being able to tease out a little bit more to how we may be able to better connect with communities about the importance of such mitigation programs. In addition to that, and the theme of planned fire in the landscape, a really key focus of this program will be exploring and hearing about the growing empowerment of our traditional owners in implementing cultural fire programs and the new opportunities that these are providing. While our contemporary burning practices do differ from cultural burning practices, the increasing engagement that we're seeing, particularly if I look at our own experiences in Western Australia, between our traditional owners and land managers, we are building a better understanding of opportunities to enhance our fire management programs. Importantly, the approaches of contemporary burning and cultural burning are complementary and I guess share that common goal to look after people and country. So we look forward to putting this discussion as part of the conference and connecting with our peers nationally and internationally to hear of other lessons or opportunities that are occurring in other jurisdictions and how we might be able to share that information, but also learn from others.
Fantastic, Jason. Thank you very much. I want to move on because one of the real benefits of going to AFAC25 is the number of kind of parallel events that take place at the same time. And one of them is the Women and Firefighting Australasia conference, which joins the AFAC25 programme this year. Quinn Cramer, as I say, is live with us. Quinn, tell us about WAFA and your focus for the sector.
Thanks, Paul. WAFA, or Women and Firefighting Australasia, it's an incredible network that's been advocating for gender inclusion, equity in the fire and emergency services across our region for 2 decades now. The WAFA conference is held biennially, and this year we're once again excited to be joining forces with AFAC for the 3rd time. The integration with AFAC is a huge step forward, and it sends a strong message that inclusion and culture change aren't just side conversations. They're essential to see how our sector evolves. My focus and WAFA's focus is about creating real, lasting change. That means we're going to break down systemic barriers, but it also means designing workplaces that value diversity of thought, experience, and leadership. We're not just talking about getting more women to firefighting, although that's crucial. We're talking about how we rethink what leadership looks like, what success looks like, and how we create safe, supportive environments for everyone. There's been incredible work happening on the ground from peer networks, mentorship, equipment redesign, and inclusive recruitment strategies. And WAFA is the platform that brings that all together to celebrate it, push it even further. And so this year, being a part of AFAC25 really gives us a chance to elevate these conversations across the entire fire and emergency community.
So how do these priorities inform the theme of this year's WAFA conference, which is, if not now, then when, a call for progress on safety, inclusion and respect? And what are some of the key presentations and activities that we can look forward to this year?
Yeah, so the theme, if not now, then when, is more than just like a catchphrase for us. It's a rallying cry. And it reflects the real urgency that we see for systemic progress in safety, inclusion and respect across the fire and emergency sector. For years, we've talked about these issues, but this is the moment where we need to act with purpose, courage and accountability. So this year's WAFA 25 conference, being able to be integrated with AFAC, we're able to kindly share a lot of the keynotes, which is great because the program of AFAC is packed with powerful voices and real-world stories of progress, and we're thrilled to be sharing the space with leaders who are actively reshaping the sector. And from there, our stream dives into a central theme of progress through diversity. I'm fortunate enough to be opening WAFA Stream with a special session that reflects the 20 years of women shaping Australia's firefighting future and a bit of the history of WAFA and our way forward. And from there, we have some really outstanding standout sessions. We've got Stephanie King and Joyce Bohm, who follow on from what Jason was just talking about. And they're talking about the empowerment of the next generation with Arnhem Land fire management. So a brilliant example of Indigenous women leading with cultural fire knowledge. And now we've got a deep dive into leadership reform from tradition to transformation, building gender diversity in senior duty officer teams. We've got an incredible panel with some great guests, which is themed Ahead of the Firefront, featuring some fantastic frontline change makers like Selena Silva, Tracy Spindler and Jessie Fraser, who are driving innovation and equity on the fireground. We're also going to hear from Alison Donovan, Western Australia's first female Level 3 incident controller, whose story of operational leadership is truly inspiring. And across both days, we're going to tackle some real topics that are often overlooked but crucial. Things like managing menstruation during deployments with Assistant Professor Melissa Parsons. We're going to look at PPE fit and safety and innovation from Kelly Edwards with Projects Inspire. And they've got a really exciting keynote, bold closing keynote from Penelope Twemlow on fear, failure and finding purpose in adversity. Overall, our WAFA 25 programs are fantastic, whether it's strategic inclusion, recruitment reform, wellbeing, or breaking down cultural barriers. Every session throughout our program is about turning intent into action, and that's what WAFA 25 stands for this year. With joining forces with AFAC, we're clearly trying to say this work isn't fringe, it's foundational to our sector's future, and we're really excited about it. We're also excited this year to be holding a half-day professional development networking day. Previously, we've held hands-on training days on the first day of the WAFA conference, but this year we've just moved our theme slightly to be more inclusive of the different types of women that work, men and work in our sector. So we've got a half-day professional development headlined by our keynote for that day, Rabia Siddiq, who's a human rights lawyer and former British military officer. And we're really excited by how that day is developing. And then that will lead into the WAFA welcoming drinks and networking event as well. And then we're going to kick into our full program on the Wednesday and Thursday.
Fantastic stuff. Thanks, Quinn. Let's bring in Rob Keane now, who's Hannover Fairs Australia event director. Rob, one of the interesting things, one of the worst things about going to exhibitions around the world is when you can tell that the floor plan has been sold on location by people getting in first to put their stand where they are. So you get different areas all having similar content. You're having to move from one part to the other, whereas you've really structured your exhibition this year to probably be the most structured ever AFAC25 exhibition with 7 collaborative sectors. How would that help visitors actually navigate the show?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Well, the exhibition this year with over 200 exhibitors is aligned to how agencies and everyone involved in emergency management actually operate, not by product type, but by function. So this year we've introduced those 7 collaborative sectors across the show floor to help the visitors navigate the content in a way that mirrors their real world challenges, I guess, such as workforce, covering work health and safety, training systems, recruitment, and organisational development. Moving on to fire safety. So this focused on building codes, prevention systems, compliance, and the built environment itself. Capability equipment. This focuses on operational tools like rescue gear, cutting systems, pumps, suppression kits, and much, much more. Capability PPE, which Gwen has just touched on there, including uniforms, helmets, breathing apparatus, gloves, footwear, and decontamination systems. Capability fleet. This showcases custom-built vehicles, cabs, chassis, light bars, structural protection, and integrated response design. Moving on to community risk reduction, which Jason talked about earlier on as well. Everything from public warning systems to predictive data tools, mapping platforms, and engagement programs. Lastly, that brings us to response operations, which focuses on real-time incident management, decision-making tech, drones, comms, GIS, and field deployable systems. So for the visitor, this is about immediately knowing where to go based on your role, whether managing a control room, leading a training and development, overseeing vehicle fleet, or rolling out risk reduction strategies. There's a defined space built around everyone's operational focus.
And there's a huge range of things that you're talking about and we're seeing within the exhibition, from I'm looking at mining and utilities, and then you've got public safety, you've got climate policy, you've got AI. How do you meet the needs of such a wide visitor base?
Yeah, well, that's the strength of AFAC25. It brings together the full spectrum of industries that play a role in emergency management, disaster resilience, and community safety. So you've got frontline responders and incident controllers walking the floor alongside data analysts, AI developers, mining safety engineers, utility managers, and policy specialists. Each of the 7 collaborative sectors is designed to connect those roles with the technology, systems, and services that are directly relevant to them. For example, mining and industrial operators will find capability-led innovations in fleet and equipment that support high-risk environments. Digital transformation specialists can explore real-time situational awareness tools, satellite imagery, AI-powered decision platforms, and response operations. Community risk reduction brings in those working in planning, climate adaptation, and public engagement. Whether it's reducing downtime, improving incident response, designing better systems, or protecting assets, there's a direct pathway through the exhibition that speaks to every level of decision-making and field delivery.
Jason, stay where you are because I want to come back to you in a moment to talk about the programme. But before I let you go, Rob, I want to talk just a bit more about the other bits that are going on, because it's way more than the exhibition. Beyond what's on the stands, you've got a demo zone, you've got a solutions theatre, you've got an AIDR knowledge centre. That's back as well. How do you round out the experience for attendees with those extra areas of the event?
Yeah, so these features, Paul, transform the exhibition from a showcase into an active learning environment. So it gives attendees a chance to see, hear, and engage with the ideas and innovations shaping the future of emergency management. So if we touch on in Hall 6, the live demonstration zone brings equipment and systems to life with real-time situations such as patient extrication, vehicle capabilities, and incident response techniques that show how solutions perform under operational conditions. The Solutions Theatre, located in Hall 3, runs a curated program of 20-minute sector-aligned sessions from exhibitors and practitioners. These hands-on and practical presentations connect the dots between what's on display in the exhibition and how it's used in the field, whether it's new PPE, training systems, comm tech, through to mental health and trauma management requirements, which is an important aspect of the first responders' lives on a day-to-day basis. The AIDA Knowledge Centre in Hall 2 offers a deep dive and extensive research poster gallery, meet the author sessions, and a chance to vote for the most impactful project. It's a space where sciences, policy, and practice converge, bring the evidence base behind product development and agency decision-making right onto the floor.
Fantastic. Come back to you now, Jason, just to wrap up, because I want to go back to the conference program. Remind us of the additional conference experiences that they can take advantage of, the Research and Innovation Day and Professional Development Program.
As Rob and Quinn have outlined, we've got a really packed 4 days for delegates when they come over to Perth later in August. So there will be something for everyone who comes across for the conference. So on day one of the conference, which opens on the 26th of August, we'll be focusing around research and innovation. This day will be a deep dive into cutting-edge ideas and new science, and it will be designed for those who are leading change and advancing technology in the emergency management space. It's a perfect opportunity for networking for researchers, technology specialists, and those who are interested in exploring how the latest developments are transforming emergency responses across jurisdictions and how they may be able to apply those technologies in their own jurisdictions and their own activities and operations. The second and third days of AFAC will feature the details of the conference program that Quinn and Rob have outlined. And importantly, the final day on the 29th of August will be dedicated to workshops and sessions which really focus on the opportunity for professional development programs. As part of that, the Department of Biodiversity, Conservation and Attractions will be facilitating a field trip into the Jarrah Forest of Western Australia, and an opportunity for those who haven't been to Western Australia to actually experience the uniqueness of Jarrah Forest, which are found nowhere else in the world. This field trip will be to showcase the importance of maintaining a mosaic of different fuel ages across the forest landscape through prescribed burning, and to reduce the impacts of summer bushfires, one which we saw back in 2023 when we had multiple lightning strikes, ignitions, which caused significant bushfire activity in the Perth Hills. And it'll provide an opportunity for participants to get out on the field and actually see how a lower fuel zone did assist in reducing not only the intensity of that bushfire, but it also allowed firefighters to safely go in and undertake bushfire fighting efforts to eventually slow and stop the spread of that bushfire in that circumstance. In addition to that, the Department of Fire and Emergency Services, Western Australia, will also be facilitating a field trip to the Western Australian Bushfire Centre of Excellence. And that session will focus on some of the opportunities that are being developed and nurtured in collaboration with local traditional owners. There are many other workshops throughout this day, which include the popular Emergency Spatial Management Information Network about spatial intelligence and mapping. So that will be one for the tech heads. In addition to that, we've got the Australian Institute for Disaster Resilience, who will host a workshop about systemic thinking. They'll also partner with AFAC and the Natural Hazards Research Australia to facilitate workshops on resilient futures and to discuss the concepts around strategies for how we prepare for a climate-ready world. The other workshop of particular note and interest includes that being facilitated by the Institute of Fire Engineers. This session will focus on designing for equitable egress for evacuation in the built environment. And in addition to that, we'll have the Women in Firefighting Australasia will obviously host their workshop about sustainable chain and advancing women in fire. And Quinn touched on some of those deep dive topics that'll be covered in there. And as part of the Women in Fire section, we're really looking forward to one of our staff members from WA and our first female level 3 incident controller, as Quinn mentioned earlier, Ali Donovan, sharing her experiences and her growth in the emergency management sector.
And one last thing, Jason, before you go, I just want to talk about the networking side of things, because you go to all these events and actually often what you learn and the real value you get, you don't expect to. It could be just a random conversation with somebody in the coffee queue.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. And look, the program is a jam-packed 4 days. And like most conferences, the real opportunities for networking does come in the socialising aspect outside of the formal sessions. So it's a real opportunity for people to catch up with their friends, colleagues, and also to meet new people and also make those connections across the sector, which we all know is so beneficial in the way that we do work, having those connections across jurisdictions and forming those relationships and bonds does make it a lot easier to do work across the sector. So those opportunities and socialising, networking opportunities outside of the formal sessions, we hope is really the key to the connection for our conference in Perth.
That's Jason Foster. He's chair of the AFAC25 Steering Committee and Executive Director of Regional and Fire Management Services at the Department of Biodiversity, Conservation and Attractions, WA. We've also been joined by Quinn Cramer, President of Women and Firefighting Australasia, and Rob Keane, Hannover Fairs Australia Event Director. So, returning to the Perth Convention and Exhibition Centre for the first time since 2018, AFAC25 powered by INTERSCHUTZ will be held from the 26th to the 29th of August. And I'll remind you of the theme. It is from local to global, leveraging systems, capability and connection. So now it's over to you to register. And frankly, I can't see why you wouldn't, given all that we've heard over the last half hour or so. You can explore the full programme online and secure your place now. Go to afacconference.com.au, and if you want to find out more about the conference, then it's /conferences. If you want to find out more about the exhibition, it's /the-exhibition. Have a look at the site and you will find out all you need to know. And we look forward to seeing you in person at AFAC25 in the beautiful city of Perth. That's it for today's Firecast. Thanks for listening, and we'll chat again soon.
Firecast is produced and presented by Paul Hutton and is an MDM Publishing podcast in association with Asia Pacific Fire magazine.